Eugene.
Portions of this show are recorded. Strap in and be prepared.
I'm just going to say go to lunch and tell the boss, I'm coming down with something. And then head out to the ballpark for happy hour.
Coming down with duck fever.
Or beaver fever.
Or beaver fever, whichever one.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves,
Mike Parker, Coach Mark Waskowski, Melyssa Lombardi.
always happy to talk to the great Scopeldamus, Eric Scopel.
Sharp opinions.
This isn't last year. Version 8 is going to be different than version 7, which is different than version 6.
And some smiles.
Also, Dominic Hellman, 2 home runs this weekend.
Mayo.
Yeah, or Hellboy, either one.
The other one. We're going to see which one sticks. We're going to ask him.
Okay.
It's Danny Havel.
I had security on me, immediately. Give us your phone. You can't be filming it. What are you going to glean from filming people bowling right now?
Justin Grossweiner.
Okay, the 6 and 7-year-olds, I got them. I could beat them in a race.
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Fox Sports Newport.
Hello, neighbors. Welcome. High atop the Delta Tri in the Crystal Palace. Fox Sports Eugene, Fox Sports Newport. From the Bigfoot Beverages Studios, this is the fastest 60 minutes in sports. Yes, we're back to our regular 60-minute program, so we have to condense everything in actually about 55 minutes from right now on the Danny and Justin radio program. Thanks for lending us your ears. Right over there. Hey, look, the prodigal son returns. Producer Dom is back. I'm Doc. Right over there is Justin Grossner. We call him Baby J. What a boy!
Well, I can't see you because all of Dom's flow is in the way.
Man, he's rocking the hair today. It was shocking, Dom. It really was shocking how much your hair has grown in.
You know who he looks like?
Okay.
Dansby Swanson.
I knew it was going to... Listen, dude, it was going to be a Cub no matter what.
It was absolutely... But it didn't have to be, but he just looks like Dansby Swanson. You can't deny it.
Which, by the way, we're saying this one because it actually looks good.
It does. We're real jealous.
So we're not... Well...
I'm jealous, at least. I don't have hair anymore.
For a 61-year-old guy, I got a
you're
decent
doing
head
great.
of hair.
You're doing better than me.
Well, with fashion tips and style advice, it's the Danny and Justin radio program. You can follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Danny and Justin, and also wherever you do your podcasting, Danny and Justin, or the fastest 60 minutes. We're going to race through the show, as we always do, an hour is an hour, no matter what.
And then we've got to talk twice as fast.
No, we have to have people understand us at least. Melyssa Lombardi is going to join us. Nails, the head coach of the Oregon women's softball team, having a record weekend. And, again, we'll applaud the fan base a couple more times throughout the program. They packed it out at the Jane, over 6,000 fans total over the 3-game set against Iowa, where the Ducks swept the Hawkeyes and now sit solidly in 4th place. It's a top-heavy Big Ten. We'll talk about the conference race. Obviously, we will discuss what's going to be coming up in the portal because it's open now. So it is open now, right?
Yes.
The portal is open. I actually have a list of the top 20 women's basketball players that have already declared for the portal. We're not going to go through all of them, but what's interesting is that there are no Oregon Ducks on that list that have entered the portal, which I found a little interesting. I thought maybe Sarah Rambis would have snuck onto that list. But then what is
Did she not enter already?
She has. She declared.
But she didn't actually get onto the official...
I haven't seen the official list. Okay. So if you want to look at the official list, I'm not going to go through all those pages. It's way too much work for me. And then, but what more I was getting to was we could take a look at, all right, who's that? Confess. Turn your sound down, please. Attaboy, Dom, way too self. Well, I called you out, so. Is there anybody on that list that Kelly Graves and his staff would be targeting? Because we discussed the other day kind of what we felt are the needs. And obviously, we're not the coaching staff, so we could be way off. But
100%.
I think you could do the math pretty quick. You've got Mia Jacobs is gone, Sarah Rambis is gone. You've got some of you need at least a little bit of height.
Well, when Coach Graves was on our program last week, he talked about that. He said that they needed some height. So we're not grasping for straws here.
So, but I'd be interested. There's a lot of guards already in that top 20.
Listen, you can never have too many guards.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can, because you get them for 1 year and then they go because it's like, I'm not seeing the floor. I don't have the ball. You can't have
I think last year they had too few guards.
Okay, well,
It wasn't their fault. I think the
that's a whole different
Nubius
conversation, though.
was part of that, but
Absolutely. And then there's another player on the Oregon men's basketball side, which we are not shocked by. And I don't think this is still the end. There still might be another one that's going to be popping out there. But the reality is Dana Altman's going to have to turn over his roster. So that was already going to be a given after the senior exodus and then
I think
first
we
few.
see this differently, though, so we could talk about that.
We talked about it a lot yesterday, but I think there's from adversity comes opportunity. So I think for Coach Altman and his staff, I think this is where the opportunity comes. But yes, I wouldn't mind talking about that in the last segment. Some audio from Dan Lanning, some audio from Dante Moore, QB1 for University of Oregon, as they are right in the thick of spring practices as they wind to the 25th in the spring game.
Well, don't forget, Dante's got to earn it.
Right?
He's got to earn that QB1.
Okay, listen, offensive coordinator Drew Maringer told the O Club yesterday, because he was asked specifically about Dylan Raiola, and Dante Moore is like, so is Dylan Raiola going to possibly be seeing the field? And, Dante seems to have this thing locked up. And without a beat, and I'm paraphrasing, Coach Maringer said, everyone's got to earn their playing time at the University of Oregon. And every week there's competition. So, yes, Dante's extremely talented. However, so, and I think that mentality, that gladiator mentality, but having respect for your teammate, I think that's what's made Oregon football successful over the last 3 years. Okay?
What level of poor play would Dante need to display out in practice, do you think, where they'd really go like, no, I don't think so. You know what I mean? He'd have to be throwing a pick like every time, right?
Yeah. But he'd have to throw like 4 interceptions in a game.
That's what I'm saying.
2 games in a row.
It would have to be so drastic. So, I mean, I'm kind of making fun. I think it is a little bit lip service to say that. But I think it's mostly true. I do think that for the majority of the roster, like, you literally do have to earn it. And there is no givens with this roster.
You know what I'm really intrigued by is the running back room. With the kids that are coming back, De'Aaron Hill and, of course, Jordan Davidson, and the big issue was at the end of last year, there was nobody left in the running back room due to injury or,
You went from 10 to having none.
None. So I think, and then you got kids coming in that I think are going to push. I mean, listen, you know what we were talking about last year at this time, or about it in a month from last? We were talking about Mekhi Hughes. And what a great get that was going to be for Oregon, this stud running back. And 4 games in, he's going to sit out the rest of the year and enter the transfer portal. Where did he end up? Texas A&M?
Houston.
Oh, Houston. That's right.
And it's funny because even game 1, I think there was questions. It was, Montana State. And it was already kind of like, wait, why is this guy getting like 4 carries? Right?
Okay, but so that
it happened fast.
That goes back to, and we're going to get to the national championship game here in a second. But it does go into the question of what you just said, is I do believe that no one is anointed, because if someone was going to be anointed, why wouldn't you give the ball to a junior or a senior that was transferring in, that has already proven himself at another D1 program? I mean, guy was not a slouch at all.
No, he wasn't.
But then the freshman came stepping up and stepping out and took over the role.
Well, and some of the audio we got last week from the running back room was that these guys from Rashad Samples was that they basically had no idea what they were doing, and they were going out and doing that.
And now
so that's how talented they were.
And now they're speaking up in the room, and they're telling other guys.
Now they know what they're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
Now there's a little familiarity. I mean, it could be something special, and we'll get to some audio from it. But I get the national championship.
National championship. Well, University of Michigan did not win by $1 billion like we thought. Well, actually, it was Blaze who said $1 million.
I said $1 billion.
You said $1 billion
or
whatever it was. I think I said 15.
Well, here's the thing, though, and I want you to start with your thing. But the Michigan Wolverines probably played their C or D game last night and still won.
So a couple of the keys that we talked about with Dave Revson when we had him on.
Congratulations to him, by the way.
Did you see my tweet?
I did not.
So I tweeted out that I did the Forrest Gump running around the corner, that because he came on our show and he said he was going to get his tennis shoes on and run around the building if they won, because he was getting sick and tired of answering the question of how come the Big Ten hasn't won a national championship in men's basketball since it's been 25 years. Well, now he doesn't have to answer that question, at least for a couple of years now.
Congratulations, Dave.
Attaboy, Dave. So it was not their best effort. However, as a team, UConn only had 9 assists.
Neither team had a lot of assists.
Right, and Malachi Smith, who played 19 minutes, had the most with 3. And
crazy.
Now, remember what we pulled out that stat that said when Michigan gets in trouble, if a team is distributing the basketball well, then they could get in trouble. They've lost every single game this year. The only 3 losses they had was when a team had a player had 6 or more assists on the opposite side.
That was a good find by you because
it
was staggering to see how few assists there were in this game.
And both teams played a pretty good game. I mean, 11 turnovers for UConn, 10 for no. Only 11 turnovers and 10 for
more
Michigan.
turnovers than assists.
Well, right.
And so same thing for Michigan,
right?
Who, by the way, only had 2 3-pointers the entire game.
Well, and that's the whole thing is UConn pushed it up 33 times. Almost half their shots were threes, and they only made 9 of them. So again, it was kind of a very thin margin of error for the Huskies if they were going to take care of Michigan. They did not hit the 2 areas that they needed to succeed in against the Wolverines. So congratulations to Michigan. I mean, Dusty May, this is where roster reconstruction through the portal can work. And so everyone's going to shake their head at Eugene and go, well, we're going to have to see that with Dana Altman and the Ducks because that's exactly what's going to have to happen, roster reconstruction.
Dana Altman had this team that he had this season in the second half within striking distance of Michigan, which is really funny to think about now.
So U of M completes the trifecta for the Big Ten. College football championship, women's basketball championship, and now men's basketball championship. So those are the big 3. But there are literally another 9 or 10 championships like in cross country and track and field and I think soccer. The Big Ten, and Oregon's got a couple of those.
Baseball, I think that UCLA's got a pretty good shot to maybe win the whole thing.
Yeah, hey, listen, we're going to talk to Melyssa Lombardi, and I'm just going to tell you, do not count these Ducks out.
No, definitely don't count the Ducks out. UCLA very good as well. I don't know though. Oklahoma and Tennessee, Oklahoma especially, just seems like they're on this like different level again for softball. So I think everybody is on a watch for them. But certainly the Big Ten throughout all these sports, and it's not the strongest in every sport. Like the baseball conference isn't the best, but they've certainly got their teams in it, and it is fascinating to see how many of these leagues these sports are coming down to a Big Ten champion.
Well, it was a 4-point game at the half. Ended up being a 6-point win for Michigan, 69-63. They only shoot 38% from the field, and UConn shoot 30%. And the lead actually got up to, what was the biggest lead? 11 points.
Yeah.
It was about midway through the second half, and I thought Michigan from there was going to step on the gas. They did not, so give credit to Coach Hurley's Huskies because they did not give up. They are pesky. They would not go away.
Yeah, they certainly did. They pushed them at the end, and Michigan probably played their worst game all season long. I asked my friend about it, who's a Michigan fan, right afterwards. He's like, that was the worst game I've seen them play all season long. And it just didn't matter because they were more talented. They had more depth throughout the lineup. But you do have to give UConn a lot of credit because they stayed in this game. They, I think, had a good game plan. Yeah.
Begrudgingly give them credit.
I think the Axel Lendenborg injury definitely played a part of that as well. He clearly didn't look the same. He shot 4-13. So I think that when it came down to it,
he played 36 minutes
he did,
too.
But he
on
didn't
one
look
leg.
the same. He didn't look like he was right. But I think when it came down to it, the best team did win this season. Ultimately.
Absolutely. All right, so tip of the hat to the Wolverines, and that's the last time I'm going to say it. Now we can turn the page to baseball season. So let's talk a little football because we always can talk football. And spring game is coming up on the 25th. I still want to get Baby J in front of Dan Lanning to ask the question. I am really surprised nobody's asked the question thus far. What's the spring game going to look like? Are you gonna actually do a scrimmage? Are you going to walk through? What's it going to look like? And honestly as well, what are you looking for in the spring, Coach Lanning?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge as a coach is you want to challenge your players from stimulating a lot of plays. How much can they handle? Throw the kitchen sink at them and see what they can do. Continue to install and challenge yourself because it's going to make it that much cleaner in the fall. But really, we want to identify who can play football, right? So if we're spending all of our time trying to figure out how to line up in a play or execute a play, then that means we're not figuring out who can play ball. So it's that give and take a little bit, making sure we work a lot of situations. But ultimately, I want to figure out who can run, who can tackle, who can block, who can get off blocks. Those are the traits that we want to ID the quickest.
And I think that you can only do that in a 4-quarter football game. In terms of, obviously you can do
Ones
things in
on
practice.
ones, 2s-on-2s.
But in terms of actually knowing how players are going to play, I do think there's a lot of value in that spring game in terms of what players can do. And I think that this is the time that you're learning about the identity of this team, right? And one of the biggest focal points about this Oregon team has been offensively the lack of experience on the offensive line. There's people that complain about, hey, like there's a bunch of 3-stars or whatever. So I think it's going to be interesting. So Dan Lanning does have a sense already about what the strength of his offensive line are going to be already.
Yeah, I think, right now we're a better run passing or run blocking offensive unit than, pass at times. And we mix the groups up quite a bit here in spring ball just so we can see a lot of different matchups and guys in different positions for versatility. But I'm excited about the size of those guys. I think they can cover people up. And I'm excited about their athleticism. So it's going to be continued progress and continued work. And even going against the defensive line, those guys are mixed up groups as well. So you got to be a team that can run the ball. It starts there for us. We've always been able to do that. And then we have to be able to protect the quarterback, and we've been really good at that as well. So it'll be fun to see that group continue to shape up. I think we got a lot of guys in the mix. You talk about above-the-line play and below-the-line play. I think we got a lot of guys that can be above the line for us.
Coach Dan Lanning on the Danny and Justin radio program. We'll hear more from the coach in just a moment, as well as Dante Moore as we roll through here on a Tuesday. Coach Melyssa Lombardi from the Oregon women's softball program a little bit later here in this hour. So I just want to dovetail off of that. Coach Maringer was in front of the O Club yesterday. I mentioned that before. And I got an opportunity to interview him, not for the record here, but, for the fans that were there. The one thing that he was asked about was I guess you'd say the characteristic of this team and how it's different than the one last year or the year before. Because Coach Maringer has been here with Dan Lanning. He was one of the inaugural hires for Coach Lanning. I don't know if people remember that or not. And he said the way that they're together and selfless and holding each other accountable. So he told a story to the group about how Pancho was not happy with some guys. They were going from one drill to another. Pancho went up to Coach Lanning and said, blow the whistle, let's start that again, because he saw people walking. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of little thing of accountability and leadership that this is a team that if they're unified, and I've seen it before because I've watched national championship teams up close, that's the difference between a good team and a great team, are those little intangibles. Right.
We see it time and time again. The most talented teams do not always become the best teams. And there is something about learning how to win. It's a real experience, skill thing. I don't think you can just come into a building and know how to do that.
And you can't teach leadership. It's either there or it's not. It's like, you know what? I can't make you taller. I can't make you faster, but I can make you quicker.
And a guy that we kind of been getting lost in the shuffle, but I think has been a leader for this team is Evan Stewart, who, by the way, is going to be playing this season. Yay! There's no debate about this now, so that's great. And a guy last year that was expected to be one of the main pieces of this offense, I think coming into this season, he's getting a little bit overshadowed because of Decorian Moore and what he was able to show last year. But we got a little bit of an update on Evan Stewart from Dan Lanning.
Spring has been really good, and I think even more than his playmaking ability, his leadership starting to show up. I want to see even more of that. We talk about him as a pass catcher, continue to challenge him to let that focus show up as how he blocks, right, for the love of his teammates. But Evan's had a really good spring so far, and he's looking really good.
Another receiver that we got a little bit of an update on is Jeremiah McClellan, who's
got incredible hands.
Is somebody that just has made the most underrated catches, I think, out of maybe any receiver in college football right now. I mean, there's that one against Washington that wasn't counted as a catch, which, by the way, I definitely think was a catch. Was
and
amazing.
He does this all the time in practice.
He had a catch go viral from, I think, the first spring practice even. So another update from Dan Lanning on Jeremiah McClellan.
Yeah, I always expect more from J-Mac. I mean, he had an unbelievable jump last year, and I think he's a guy that's become really self-aware. For you watch him out there on the field today and compared to when he first got here, it's not the same guy, right? He has some of those same traits, but he's been so much stronger with the ball. His intellect on where to run routes, how to run them, what to do. It's really leveled up, and he's physical at the point of attack. He catches the ball strong. The quarterbacks trust him. I think that's a big piece, but I expect J-Mac to take a huge jump again this year.
Danny and Justin here for a Tuesday Live for the Bigfoot Beverages Studios on Fox Sports Eugene, Fox Sports Newport. Now, go out there and enjoy the weather, but take us along wherever you can listen to us on any mobile device or even Alexa. Say, listen to Fox Sports Eugene, and we are there for you. So as we keep rolling through some of the audio from Dan Lanning as he is getting his team ready for the spring game on April 25th, hope everyone's going to pack out Autzen Stadium. Weather should be great. Let's keep our fingers crossed. The question comes up because there has been an incredible run of quarterbacks at the University of Oregon. Let's just go all the way back. Let's go all the way back to Justin Herbert. We can go back. We can go back even further than that. Okay, it's been pretty. It's been pretty special, and guys that have now elevated the game to the next level. So now the mantle falls on, and again, we can call him QB1, but he was the starter last year. We anticipate unless he trips over something, he'll be the starter this year, Dante Moore. So Dan Lanning was asked about a comparison. How does Dante Moore stack up in the room, outside the room, to these quarterbacks that have shown great leadership in the past for Oregon?
Yeah, he's there. He's there. I'm very confident. He checked a play today in practice that we didn't even have tagged with a potential check because of the look that he saw. So it's great to see from him that he's really out there operating as a coach on the field, right? We just got to get everybody else operating at that same level.
And I think people forget this. Dante Moore is a really good quarterback. I know that people are down on him after that Indiana game, and there's some criticism, and obviously he didn't have a game he wanted to.
There was plenty of responsibility to be shared.
Dante Moore is a really, really, really good quarterback. I promise you that. And one thing we know about him is he's a very cerebral guy. Of course, he came out talking about mental health this offseason, but he was asked about Dan Lanning's comments about saying, hey, you're there. So what does Dante Moore think about being told, you're there?
Yeah, I've grown a lot. Coach Lanning is somebody that pushes me every day when it comes to just, using my mental in the football game. And he's just somebody that's going to push me and scream at me, and I love it. He's, of course, I've learned from watching Dylan, and I've watched a lot of film on Bo, and I've gotten better at just pre-snap things, just being able to see how fast they got to, going from one and skipping to getting to three to making sure the ball gets there. So just being able to watch film, being able to learn from Dylan, and, being able to just use all the information I'm using to help us with spring ball right now, even our walkthroughs, just making sure that I can be the best leader I can be. I'm doing a pretty great job about that. Every day, of course, I won't say I'm there yet, but got to keep making sure I just get better every day. I just got to keep pushing myself and just being the best leader I can be.
Continues to say what I think are the right things. I don't want to hear a guy say, yeah, I'm there yet. I like the coach to say that, right? But I don't want the player to sit there and go like, yeah, I'm good. I don't have any whatever.
Yeah, there's a fine line between overconfidence and confidence.
And he seems like he does have that level of confidence. And I think that he seems like he's someone that's very comfortable with himself. And this was the first time that anybody had the opportunity to ask him about the statement he made about mental health. And so he talked about that and the importance of mental health in his life and in everybody's lives.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're still humans. We are just football players, of course, that play for university, play for a team. But at the end of the day, we still lay our heads on the pillow just like everybody else does. There are a lot of times in football we have anxiety of, performing on the field, taking care of our families, just, trying to keep so much of it, schoolwork, football, just all these things going on. And it can be stressful, and I've been through it all. And I feel like, just using my voice and just all the athletes just using our voices as our platforms and just, telling the world and telling the young guys and, men or women in this world that, mental health is important, because when you're performing at your greatest, your mental health is great. And then when you're performing at your worst, your mental health is terrible. So it's kind of like, we're human at the end of the day. And I just want to use my platform just to, talk back for just the young kids and, anybody that needs to hear it.
Well, it's courageous. We said it when we first heard about this letter to Governor Tina Kotek about the potential cuts to a mental health program for young kids and a hotline and such, and that Dante sent the letter and said, I've actually used that hotline before. I've felt depression. And to have that leadership off the field, he shows it on the field. And I'll just comment. I know we want to get to
we got to get to Melyssa too.
Well, and we do, but we also want to hear from Dan Lanning about Dylan Raiola in the quarterback room. Is Dante Moore, to me, and I listened to him very closely last year, he sounds different this year to me. He sounds
He's experienced
more
now.
Yeah, but it's the outward thing. He's always been that quiet leader, but it's like it's more confidence. There's more timbre in his voice, and you can tell that he is embracing the challenges in front of him. And I think there's a freedom in being open about things that you're not as good at or that you struggle with. I think there's strength in that.
I think he's in the right place in his journey. It feels like one thing that's happened in the current state of college football is that players are either sped up too fast in their journey or
they're held back.
They're held back. They have to transfer. Something happen. It feels like he's in the right place right now. He's able to come back and made the decision, obviously, to come back to the University of Oregon after everything that he experienced last season. This is a guy now that has the semifinal of a college football playoff in his experience belt. I think that one of the things I wanted to touch on, and I saw a little bit of this after that statement he made, was that I think people kind of criticize him for the state, and I think it's ridiculous, for saying, well, he played really bad, and so of course he's going to basically talking about his mental health. And I think that's absolutely asinine. I think
it's people who haven't played any kind of sport.
Exactly. Like, this is somebody that I think has a platform, and anytime you have a platform, you can make a difference. And so it has nothing to do with any one particular game or how he's played. I think that's the whole point of what he's saying.
Absolutely. All right, one last quote from Dan Lanning. It's about the quarterback room. Of course, it's going to come up. Dylan Raiola, who was he was a 5-star.
Yes.
He was heavily recruited. He was heavily recruited by Oregon, went to Nebraska, had kind of an up and down tenure there with Matt Rule and his offense, broke his leg late in the season for Nebraska, was going to be sitting out most of this next season anyway, decided he's taking a Dante Moore path. Coming to Oregon, going to sit back, learn a system, and sit back behind. Coach Dan Lanning talks about Dylan Raiola in the quarterback room.
In our league, you never know when you need another quarterback, right? You always have to have somebody up and ready, and there's been a lot of guys in that room that are performing really well, but it's been good growth for Dylan. We're asking him to do things that he's never been asked to do. He has the talent to do it all. He's a very intelligent player. You got other guys in that room that are operating at a really high level as well, with Brock and Mark and some guys coming along. KJ's really stepped it up. So I think it's a really good room and excited about the growth opportunities there.
Good stuff from Dan Lanning and Dante Moore in the exit of the last practice for the University of Oregon as they wind up to the spring game, which is April 25th, just a few weeks away. All right, when we come back, we're going to race back over to the telephone and get Melyssa Lombardi on to talk a little Oregon women's softball on a historic weekend and a long road trip coming up for the Ducks on the Danny and Justin radio program. The Danny and Justin radio program live from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios, Fox Sports Eugene, Fox Sports Newport. Thanks for tuning in here on a terrific Tuesday. And the weather's still holding out. My wife fertilized the lawn yesterday, so we have to keep the dogs and the cats off of it. Harder to keep cats off than the dog. The dog will go out there when you're not looking. Bella will go out there. No, she'll go out there and then she'll roll in it. And it's like that weed and feed stuff, so you got to brush her off. You can't have that on her. So all the trials and tribulations of having a fur baby.
Yes.
Head on over to the Oregon Man Clinics hotline. Welcome in our good friend. It's the leader of the Oregon women's softball program. It's the head coach. It's Nails. It's Melyssa Lombardi. Hi, Coach.
Hi, how are y'all doing?
We're great. Gosh, you got to be loving this weather, right?
Oh, it's been unbelievable. Like, just beautiful Oregon weather. Can't get enough of it.
So this weekend, I think, and we talked about it a lot yesterday on the program, but now that we got you, we can talk about it in depth with you. We discussed how in a short 3-game series, how the diversity of your program and how many different ways they can win a game really was on display. So as it started to unfold, when you had that first game, which was, you blasted them out of the gate, and then it's a 14-13 come from behind win, and then it's a record of sacrifice flies in the third game. So talk about all of the different ways your team demonstrated to you that they can win a game and what that felt like.
I think really just to sum it up, that regardless of what it is, they know what they need to do to get the W at the end of the day. And I think that's really, really special about this group, to show that you can win in many ways, especially when you're behind, especially when you got a little bit of a deficit and you're behind. I was saying earlier that you looked at the scoreboard, and then if you look at our dugout, like, it doesn't match up because this group's not stressed. They're just understanding what they need to do and just doing a great job working together, having great defense, and then from there taking that momentum off defense into offense.
And I'm so glad you brought that up because it's something that when you've talked about your teams and when we've talked about your teams in the past in terms of the dugout and just the camaraderie that your teams have had, it seems like it's every year. That's one of the, tying factors between version 7 and version 8 and version 6 and all these different versions. Like, it seems like the culture is so good. And I'm sure so much of that is the players that you're recruiting. You know how to recruit players that know how to be a part of that culture. But in terms of what you do, how do you also facilitate that culture every year? Because it seems like it's every single year.
We talk a lot about our core values. We talk a lot about what it means to be a Duck. And, anytime I always say to them, like, if you're getting ready to do something or make a decision, does it benefit the team first? And I really want them to think about that. And I think they do a really good job. They're each other's biggest fans, and they want each other to do well. I love the cohesiveness that we have with our group.
It's Nails coach Melyssa Lombardi joining us on the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline as the Ducks will get back on the road after being on the road for a week, a little over that, and then they come home to the sun-soaked Jane where we had over 6,000 fans in the series. And by the way, thank you fans for showing up and showing out, filling up the Bob, and it was a wonderful weekend against Iowa, and now the Ducks will go all the way across the country to take on Maryland. We'll talk about that in a little bit, Coach. But you had some sparkling offensive performances, and obviously a couple of players recognized as Big Ten Players of the Week and Freshmen of the Week. But let's start with Elon Butler, and history being made with hitting the cycle. And as a former player as well, just can you explain to the fans how hard that really is to do?
Yes, I've been playing this game for a long time. I've been coaching for almost 30 years.
Yep.
That was my first cycle that I've witnessed.
Wow.
Yeah. So in the sport of softball, I almost think it's harder to hit a triple than it is to hit a home run, So, and then, too, to get the at-bats that she was able to get to do that. Elon is just she's a special hitter. She's a great leader. She's so poised, confident. She has so much coverage of the plate. It's just been for me, just to watch her and how much she's grown from when we first got her to now, and just what she's doing, it's so great to watch.
So talk about her maturation and how she's fit into this program. I mean, it's hard, and I want to say you take chances on players, but you don't know, and we talk about this in a lot of the different sports with the transfer portal and such, is that you don't know what kind of habits necessarily a player will pick up from another program, good, bad, or indifferent. So then you have to kind of watch them and see how they fold in. So talk about how Elon has kind of grown within your program since you've had her.
Well, the hitter, she's always been this hitter. And then I just think as a senior, I think you have seniors that they know this is their final year, and they don't waste at bats. They don't get upset with themselves if something doesn't go their way. They just know how to shake things and just move and just really seize each moment. What I love with Elon is that she really understands the offensive game and just the perspective that she sees it and how she goes about it. I think she's become a really great leader. For her, we get her for 1 year. So since we started talking with her and wanting her to become a Duck, it's always been about having urgency. Like, I want her to have urgency with us, and for me and our other coaches and our athletes to have urgency with her. I don't want her to settle in at the end of the year. I want her to settle in as quick as possible, and I think that she just really did that. I think she just opened up and came in vulnerable and wanting to learn and grow and wanting to be coached. And then from there, I just always think about athletes that I've coached. Not only are they growing and learning from us, but we're doing the same. So to see, her thoughts on different things and how to go about leading, she's just a special player, and I'm glad that we get to have her for her final year.
Well, someone that's playing like a senior, but most certainly is not, is K-Dub, Kaylin Jones. And, man, she was awesome last year. She's taken it to another level this year. Hitting for power. She's still playing great defense. She's getting on base. What's been that next step for her this year?
With K-Dub, she got thrown into the fire last year, and she was a young freshman that I thought handled it and then just grew and continued to get better and better as the year went on, and then just was on fire at the World Series. And then I think coming into this year, just how she's handled her sophomore year, she's continued to grow. She went from slapping to slapping, but then also standing in and just watching the power that she keeps producing at the plate. And I just think she's got that clutch gene. I don't think a moment's ever too big for her. And she lives to be in the moment and believes that she's going to come through every time.
So it's the middle of the season now. The kind of grind has already started. How do you approach managing players that are dealing with not just the physical grind, but also the mental grind of the season?
Yeah, it's something we talk about. This is a journey, and for us to understand where we want to go, we have to understand currently where we are and how we're going to continue to get there. So we have a lot of conversations with this group, and we talk about where we're at. And, we understand that our bodies are tired right now, but across the country, everybody's bodies are tired, right? So it's just as we go each weekend and then have the prep for the next weekend, what are the things that are going to go a long way for us as a group? And I think this team it's really figuring that out.
The energetic leader of the flock, it's Nails, Melyssa Lombardi, joining us on the Danny and Justin radio program. Fox Sports Eugene, Fox Sports Newport, thanks for giving us your ears here on a Tuesday. And, Coach, I know defense is a calling card, but we do have to ask. There were a couple of sparkling plays, a couple of sparkling double plays this past weekend. How often are you practicing that situational type of softball?
Runners at first and third is a big thing in softball, and we work at that all the time. So lots of times dealing with two runners at a time, that's, I feel like, is common. And what I really loved about going into this weekend is the week of, we had a really good couple days of practice, and I thought it prepared us and propelled us into the weekend. And then to, have that situation where the ball was hit to left, and you could see the runner really round big. Run scored, you could see the runner around really big, and the coach, held her up. Lots of times that ball goes all the way through the plate and it gives the runner time to get back. Well, with us cutting it there, it allowed us to freeze the runner and get her into a rundown. And that rundown returned and came back to third. And for Taryn to understand the timing of the runner coming back to third, but also the runner rounding second and coming to third, and to be able to put tags on both of them and get out of it was huge. That was a big time play. I don't know if you can ever really just practice that. I think that's just instinctual.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We talked about it yesterday. It's like she didn't freeze up in the moment. It's like sometimes you can get paralyzed by what do I do next, but it seemed like it was that muscle memory of I know where it's going to be and anticipating that, and that's what made the play.
Yeah, we always talk a lot about the secondary play. Everybody's caught up in understanding exactly what they want to do on the primary, but what are you doing on the secondary? That is something we discuss a lot and work on a lot. And sure enough, that secondary play showed up, and she was ready for it.
And it's amazing. She's a freshman. She didn't necessarily have a big role in the beginning of the season. She's totally taken a hold of that. Is that something you want to see when you give a player opportunity? They just go ahead and grab a hold of it?
Definitely. She didn't start, and she sat and she waited, and she continued to grow and get better. And then when she had her opportunity, she took it, and she kept taking it. And I think it's important. You might get a ton of opportunity, or you might get, small opportunity. It doesn't matter. It's just when the moment and the situation arises, it's about taking it and grabbing it with both hands and not giving it back. And to watch her, just how much she's grown as a freshman and what she's doing right now, and how she's going about it. I think she's around 5 feet, and you would think she plays 7 feet with the way she plays. So,
Head coach Melyssa Lombardi joining us on the Danny and Justin radio program. Let's talk about in the circle. Lindsey Grine is, again, the stalwart, 18-4 overall, a 2.25 ERA. But we'll always talk about, I want to say it's supporting cast, but everybody's involved. Maddie Milhorn, Taylor Spencer, Elise, and Rowan has gotten a few appearances as well. So talk about where you feel the pitching is right now and where you'd want it to be.
I think for us to do what we need to do, we got to continue to have the entire staff take on strain. I think Lindsay's taken on a ton, and she understands that. She's in her final year. She gets what she needs to do to recover and be prepared for each weekend. What I love is that Taylor. I really love what Taylor's doing. That last game, we needed her to come in and finish the game, and she faced 9 batters and retired 8 of 9.
Right.
Maddie, I love what Maddie's doing. Maddie, it had a tough game on Saturday, but she kept pushing through, and we needed her to take innings for us and allow our defense to play behind her. And to me, it's about experiences, whether it's Maddie or whether it's Taryn. You think of K-Dub and those guys last year that were all freshmen. It's putting them in the fire. And by doing that, that's only going to allow them to get better and better. And there's going to be times where, they're going to have some things that go their way and then the times that don't. And when it doesn't, it's about going back and watching a little video and figuring it out and then using that experience for the next experience. So I love what our young people are doing right now.
Ducks are 29-9 overall, 10-2 in the Big Ten, and let's kind of shift our focus to the Big Ten. It seems like 4 teams are kind of separating themselves to the top. Washington's still undefeated in league. Nebraska's at 11-1, always tough. UCLA's at 13-2, and then your squad at 10-2. Is that accurate? It does seem like these 4 teams are kind of pushing their way and are going to be facing off near the end of the season because you've got matchups with pretty much everybody still.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of ball to play, but it's important that we continue to take it one game at a time and, come up with wins. You can't – it's such a tight race that you can't leave anything on the table.
So when you talk about the Big Ten overall, obviously now in the second year in the Big Ten, there has been that adjustment from the old Pac-12, but you've got a couple of your old mates there with Washington and UCLA near the top. Is the brand of softball different, or is that kind of like just noise from people? It's just like, the style of play and such. I mean, it's still, the circle's still the same. Most of the outfield walls are the same. Strategy is still kind of the same. Is that true?
For sure. I mean, every weekend we go in, and I believe we're going into a super regional, and it's about understanding how can we get game 1, can we win the series on day 2, and then can we get the sweep? It's just like, what does a super regional look like? And that's what it feels like every weekend, whether we're at home or we're on the road.
And you're going to College Park next weekend on the road this Friday. And that also happens to be where the Big Ten tournament is going to be played
this year, yeah.
Is there some value in being able to go there? You didn't get to play there last year, so you get an opportunity to play there in April, and then you get to go and play in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, I think so. I think there'll be some familiarity when we return there for the tournament, which I think is great. We'll understand how their dirt, plays, what their outfield looks like, how big their gaps are. I think that definitely gives us an advantage.
All right, Coach. Well, we'll be watching. When you guys leave? When do you take off? Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. We leave tomorrow.
Oh, God. I hear the joy in your voice. Another long plane ride across the country. Welcome to the Big Ten, right?
Yes. These guys are doing a great job of it. I really love how they're handling the recovery, our travel, all of it. They've been excellent.
All right. Well, say hi to everyone for us. Have a safe trip, and we'll look forward to our next conversation. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
There she goes. The great nails, Melyssa Lombardi. Always great insight, and the enthusiasm is there, man.
Always.
Love it. Love it to death. All right, let's, we got Dom in here. I think he's still hanging out. Who knows? Did he leave already? No. Hopefully he's still here. Might get him involved in the last segment. Danny and Justin rolls on here on a Tuesday. Oregon women's golf is in Colorado at the Silverado Country Club and Resort, and they're in the second round of the tournament there, the Chevron Silverado Showdown. Sounds like there's 6 shooters out there as well. Dre Chung is leading the Ducks, who are now in 3rd place. They're just finishing up the second round. Southern Cal leads the number 2 ranked Ladies of Troy at 17 under. Eastern Michigan is at 12 under. The Ducks at +8 for the tournament with a few holes left. Up in the Palouse, after getting blasted yesterday, 18-0, Washington State decided to come out again to play, and they're sticking it to Oregon State right now. Top of the 6th, 1 on, nobody out for Oregon State, but they're down 4-0 to the Cougars.
That wouldn't be good.
That would not be good, as Oregon State comes into this game. I think they're like,
6th in the RPI.
Yeah, but and 25-6 overall, and they've won 4 in a row. But going up there, that would be a bad loss for Oregon State. So, hopefully they can pull it back out. On the Danny and Justin radio program tomorrow on the show, It'll be the mayor of Rip City, Travis Demers, joining us. We'll talk all things Blazers. Tough loss last night to the Nuggets. They had it right there in their grasps, and then they lost it in overtime.
Hey,
they had that game.
It's so funny. For so
grasp.
long, they had the easiest strength of schedule to end the season, and then they reached the last 4 games, and it's like, that's tough.
Well, the thing was, is they could have separated themselves by a full game against the Clips with a game in hand coming up with LA. You don't want things to start coming down to tiebreakers.
LA has it.
Well, but if Portland beats LA, then they tie the season series 2 games apiece.
Right now they have it.
But they got to win that game no matter what.
No matter what.
So, but then you don't want it to come down to these well, you shot with the left hand with 4 minutes left in the third quarter, and that's your 12th tiebreaker, and so now you get the number 8 seed.
I think that basically, if they beat the Kings and they beat the Clippers, they probably get it. They really would like to beat the Spurs.
It would have been nice to have that.
And it would have
given a little bit of breathing room.
It would have been great. It would have been really, really nice.
So tomorrow they are playing San Antonio. Of course, you can listen to the Blazers on Fox Sports Eugene, and we'll have the mayor on tomorrow. We'll preview the Spurs game, and then down the stretch, down to 3 games left in the regular season, and then the postseason for Portland awaits. So, Waylon, Oregon guard, who's 147 years old. Just joking.
He's only 21, apparently.
Are you sure?
That's what I was told.
No, see, that's the whole thing. Are you sure? I
don't
don't think anybody knows.
We need to go there.
Really. But Waylon has decided to jump into the portal. Portal opened last night at midnight or something like that. And so there are like 8,000 names in the portal. Go ahead and pick and choose. So this is now, the 6th player for Oregon in the portal.
Correct.
If I'm doing that off the top of my head.
By the way,
yes,
got some recent news about Jackson Shellstad taking a couple visits.
Arizona's going to be one of them.
Arizona most certainly was one of them. I've been saying that. I think he's going to end up at Arizona.
And Kwame Evans Jr. is got a visit with Villanova coming up.
That makes sense.
So we'll see. Those are the 2 biggest names that have exited Oregon's program. And we keep talking about this, and Dusty May just, now listen, Michigan basketball money and Oregon basketball money might be different. In fact, I'm not going to say they are different. But the portal, if you want to take a look at a blueprint, Dusty May just gave everybody a blueprint on how to build a team in very quick fashion and win a national championship. You can jump in any time.
Yeah, no, I was seeing that. I think the other day that they were they had no players from Michigan like on the team last year,
right,
to this year, or maybe it was the starting 5. They didn't return one starter. At
totally
Michigan.
turn the
no
roster
team had ever
over.
won a championship like that. Yeah. So
and wasn't it 2 years ago and when Dusty May took over, they were like the previous season 9-23 or something like that. They were horrific.
You can change it real quickly in college basketball now.
You have the opportunity, and then I'll just throw it out. Do you guys both? I already asked you this question. I asked you, Dom. You guys both believe that Dana Altman can turn a program around if he's got the right players?
Yeah, and I think one of y'all, or Justin, you mentioned it earlier in the show that we were at one point down by 6 or 7 points to Michigan when we played them in Eugene, and our team was dismantled. So it's you think about that, that's coaching, in my opinion. If you're competing at a high level with the national champion and you're down 4 starters.
Yeah, they were competitive against Michigan. They were competitive against
Michigan State.
Michigan State. They were competitive against a lot of teams.
So they showed some guts, which is one of the things I was talking about. When you knew the season was lost, the narrative became, are you just going to go out there and give up every game? Or are you going to go out and try and play hard? And I thought that I saw a lot of guts out of the team. But I don't know how many guts are left. Because I think there's only going to be there's only 3 scholarship players now. 3 or 4 scholarship players left for Dana Altman's squad right now.
It's getting down there.
It's getting thin.
Oh, a joke!
I got fired from the bank today. A woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her.
Dad jokes!
So how does Vin Diesel keep in touch with the Fast and Furious crew? How does
something
Vin
about
Diesel
family
keep in touch with the Fast and Furious
family
crew?
phone?
I'm thinking diesel fuel.
No, of course, on a Zoom call.
Okay, Fast and Furious. I get it.
Come on now.
I think so.
That was okay. Yesterday kind of fell flat.
Good. It was good.
Today was a little bit better. I was in fact on one of those calls earlier today. Made me want to throw my phone into the Delta ponds. Tomorrow on the program, Travis Demers, the mayor of Rip City, going to talk all things Blazers. If you missed any of the show, go back to the podcast. Danny and Justin. For producer Dom, for Baby J to my right, I'm Doc. Thanks for listening. God bless, be well, put a smile on your face, someone else's. They deserve it, so do you. Peace.